All right. Good day to everyone, and I welcome us to another wonderful session of this particular training. So, in this particular video, we are actually going to be talking about the fractal nature of the market. So, without further ado, let's just proceed into what we have for this particular video. All right. So, what do we refer to as the fractal nature of the market? First of all, before we can understand what the fractal nature of the market is, we first of all need to understand what the word fractal really means, right? Fractal simply refers to the repetitive existing nature of a particular thing from a larger perspective to a smaller perspective, right? So and I hope I'm not using too much grammar. So what I'm trying to say in a basic term is that fractal is, let me just define it in terms of, let me relate it to the market now, 'cause I think that's what we are trying to, really talk about. So it can be very, very easy for you guys to understand. So whenever we are talking about fractal nature of the market, we are actually talking about the repetitive nature of the market and the constant nature of it. And what do I mean now? In terms of pattern. So in terms of patterns, from a larger perspective down to a smaller perspective, the consistent nature of the market in terms of patterns, right? So yeah, and the repetitive nature of the market. So from the larger perspective to a smaller perspective. And what do I mean now in practical sense? So as we can see, I currently have three graphical charts, textbook structure, representation on my screen. I have one particular one here, given a white color. I have another one here with yellow, and I have another one here in the red. So some of us right now might have noticed something that is consistent within these three patterns. We can see that this is a natural structure, right? It's just a bullish break of structure. It's just a nice break of structure, right? So as you can see, I also pointed out, time frames at the top. I mentioned 4-ish time frame as this, 1-ish as this, and 15-minute time frame as this, right? So this is just typically to put things into perspective. And yeah, so now we can see this is a regular break of structure, nice, on the 1 hour time frame, which is in a descending order, right? So on the 1 hour time frame, we are seeing something much more different. We are seeing more, break of structures. This structure over here on the 1 hour time frame is still the same structure over here. But it's just that on the 1 hour time frame, you are now zooming down into a lower perspective. So this 1 hour time frame has its own way of showing, this 4 hours time frame structure, right? You cannot see it the same way it is on the 4 hours, on the 1 hour. Why? Because the 1 hour is now smaller compared to the 4 hours time frame, which means you'll be getting access to more detail, right? But it is still consistent, right? You can see that on this 1 hour time frame, we start seeing this upward movement here before the downward movement that broke structure upward. We start seeing, the structures that actually made up this upward movement on the smaller time frame. We start seeing the detail of this price movement here. So, and these are the detail upward break of structures, right? So it will show, right? It's showing you in a more detailed format, right? So, and when price was moving downward here, we start seeing more of the detail, and price was breaking structures to the downside. And when it was moving upward, we were also seeing more detail. And it is, if you are to look at it, it is still the same structure. Don't worry, we are still going to do some other things. Don't just let me skip that now. So now you can also see we have the 15 minutes time frame over here, and as you can see, we now have more detail. This 15 minutes is mimicking both this and this particular guy on the larger perspective. We are still relating to this structure, but we are now, you know if we are to see this 4 hours time frame structure on the 15-minute time frame, we will now be getting more detail of even the 1 hour structures and also the 4 hour structures. But we need to be able to see these things, right? We need to be able to view from the larger perspective down to the smaller perspective. And one thing that you notice is that market creates this pattern over and over again. For upward movement, you can see even though on the 15 minutes, while price was going up, yeah, we are now seeing more of the detail of the 1 hour. On the 15-minute time frame, you can see price was breaking structure upward, and once price was coming down, we are having some smaller break of structures to the downside, and we are, just getting more detail into it. So that's typically what the fractal nature of a market it is, saying that the market pattern is repetitive and constant regardless of the time frame that you are actually on. It is the same nature. So that's what the fractal nature of a market refers to, right? So, and no, this is just the first step to understanding this thing. All right. So here with me, I have another graphical representation, of me just fixing this two together. Please pardon the shout over here. I mean, pardon me for the shout over here. So, but as we can see, this white dotted line over here represents the 4 hours time frame, and as you can see, we have the 1 hour time frame being much more detailed. It won't always look like this, right? So, except you understand what we call microstructures, yeah. So you can, like, I personally now I've gotten to a particular experience level whereby I can even see some of the smaller time frame structures on the larger time frame based on the fact that I can read each and every single damn candle in the market. Don't worry, you also get to that. But you first need to, this is the basics of it. Understand the fractal nature of the market, and as time goes on, you get to understand that too, right? So you can see the 1 hour time frame, structure is actually aligning with the 4 hours, right? Just as we had in that previous image, and you can see it's still the same structure, right? So now I also did another graphical representation of this 1 hour time frame guy and the 15 minutes. So the yellow dotted line is typically the 1 hour time frame guy, and as you can see, the 15 minutes is actually detailing the price movement on the 1 hour time frame more. So now you now need to understand this is very, very important, right? If you're having a 4 hour time frame structure in relationship to the PDR metrics, let me just come back here. Let's say you have this nice clean structure over here now. So, because some people might be having that question. I mean, some people might be having issue with that, right? You have this nice clean 4 hour structure. You have gotten your zone on the 4 hours, and then you have seen your fair value gap. You first of all need to consider a structure that is actually showing within this range, detailed to be broken before you can expect it to reach the fair value gap at the bottom. Don't worry, it will also be showing on the 1 hour. uh and before you can even expect the 1 hour hunt to be to before you can expect price, because you know that this 1 hour swing point is also being detailed over here, right? So before you can expect price to get to the 1 hour point, to before you can consider invalidating, you also need to see price first of all invalidate this 15-minute zone, showing that yet it is now ready to start going downward. Let me just bring in, yeah, this fantastic guy to show that yes, I'm now ready to start. It invalidated this low. I'm now ready to start going downward. Then it can now go downward and get to this, 1 hour time frame. This is the last break of structure of this 1 hour time frame. But the structure we are mainly looking at is the 4 hour time frame structure. We are looking for a full retracement. But yet still, PDRA metrics now made the availability of you considering, structures that are within structures, right? So that's why we call them complex structures, right? So because now you are no more seeing just any outbreak of structure, you are now seeing the larger perspective, right? So for price to be able to, let's assume there is a zone on this 4 hours time frame. For price to be able to get to that zone too is to also be showing, as far as you have highlighted it on your 4 hours time frame, that it is a valid structure, right? Price are broken structure on the small hour time frame, and you are expecting price to retrace and come and fill it. So you zoom into your small hour to your 1 hour time frame, which is smaller to your 4 hours time frame. and then you are expecting any last zone on your 1 hour time frame to be invalidated, right? Before it can, this structure here must be invalidated. Why? Because it's not part of your 4 hours time frame business. Before it can get to your 4 hours time frame zone and then start reversing upward, right? So another thing again is that on this 1 hour time frame, the fractal nature of market now actually made us understand that, even this 1 hour time frame swing point, you know also had structures within it that can validate that yes, price has started coming down on this 1 hour time frame. I don't know if you are getting it. Before price get to this level and invalidate it, then we can expect price to tap the 4 hours zone. So markets distribute from the lower time frame to the higher time frame. So it means for every move to start, it starts from the lower perspective first. So then anytime the higher time frame is now placing you know it's now giving validation to it, then it becomes larger and larger and it expands further. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to point out here, but yeah, so that's all as regards the fractal nature of the market. And the next video that I'll be dropping will be the practical of the fractal nature of the market. See you in the next video.